All right. We are into the fifth part of 5 for a brief history of Bastunia. And now we are within 15 years of present day. So just as a really quick recap, in the last segment, we were talking about the crumble. We were talking about Buntu, our god, being preoccupied with fighting this galactic war. We talked about Bastunia being right on the front lines in the unfound. We talked about the difference between found planets and lost planets. Found are governed by arcs, and lost are within the clutches of the Azigra, the unfound being this narrow band that is highly contested as the front lines of the battle in many ways. And because of that, in the crumble, what we saw was suddenly not everybody was getting a beast, and some people were getting no beasts. And when people got no beasts, they were kind of labeled no beast, and they just never got one. However, some people continued to get a second and a third. Doesn't seem quite fair, does it? That throughout the crumble, someone might have 3 beasts and another person has 0. Well, this all starts to change the more preoccupied the god becomes with the war. Suddenly, instead of just having some people get no beasts and some people continuously are getting multiple, suddenly now people are only ever getting 1. Nobody's getting a second. Some people are getting 0. So you see the amount of spiritual callings, of spiritual beasts in this world now is lessening. And so the crumble really ends in 278. It's been going on for almost 100 years at this point. In 280, Joan is born, and in 278, what really marks the end of the crumble and the beginning of the fall is the last beast is bestowed upon this girl named Shay. Shay is the last beast born, and everybody that is born after Shay doesn't have one. So the god is gone. No Buntu, not just a fragment of his former self, but something has obviously happened to him, and he's vanished. And James has been searching for him for years. Let's see, maybe, I'm not sure the exact timeline. Maybe this is when he really starts searching, because she's born and he's somewhat present in her childhood, but then there's this time where James just disappears out of her life. And so on a big picture, Bastunia scale, James is kind of like the hero, the one that everybody looks to for a source of inspiration. He is leading the explorer tribe, although he also has a defender beast and he also has a builder beast. So he's very Argus-like in this way, you know, the man that has the beast of many types, that commands the respect of all of the sects, and commands the respect of just about everybody except for his immediate personal family, which is too bad. But the sects have continued to progress more toward identifying with their tribe, their sect, than just looking at it as a path that they're walking. And so we have builders who say, I am a builder, I am an explorer, I am a defender, as opposed to I am walking this path, I am experiencing this. It's really unnatural for someone to walk their entire life in one path. Because frankly, right now I'm walking the explorer path, and it's a great path. I was talking to Dylan maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, before we really decided to go full bore back into unfound anamnesis. I was publishing my 4th book, and all of a nonfiction. And like basically a year ago, I said, my priorities in the next year are my family, my career, and my health. And friends weren't really a big part of that. And I was walking the explorer path, but I was walking what really was a selfish path. I mean, with an altruistic mission, you know, this book that I thought would really help people. And actually, you can see it right here, called the detourist. But it's still very selfish. So if somebody walks the explorer path forever, they're going to come up short with all the lessons that they can learn throughout their life. Eventually, if you're a builder and you've built all of this great stuff, and you're surrounded with a very a very elaborate, ornate, whatever, like a beautiful life, but you never stop to appreciate it, and the horizon is always way out there, and you're always focused on the gap between you and the horizon, as opposed to what you've gained. Now, Dylan actually wrote a great book on this concept called The Happiness Gap. Then you're going to walk straight into the grave feeling like, I've got so much further to go. Whereas someone who walks the builder path and then later walks the defender path can say, everything that I've built here is so good, and it's enough. And so there's complexity to that. But as we enter into the fall and Joan is born, she comes into this very segregated world. And it's at a pinnacle of segregation where the defenders are often mercenaries, and they're charging things for their medical attention. And the builders have established banks, and they're hoarding resources. And the explorers are like, we don't even care whatsoever about you guys. We're just doing our thing, for the purpose of self-actualization. And I'm going to attain it. And I see this sometimes in like end times Christians, where they feel like, hey, I've attained salvation, and let the world burn. When Christ comes back and we're all raptured to this other place, because some of them believe that's how it's going to work, then let the world burn, and with it burn all the people who have not accepted Christ, which is a very anti-Christ mentality, and yet they somehow manage to fit that type of contradiction in their massive brains. And so anyway, that's neither here nor there, but that's kind of where the explorers are right now in this. I'm going to actualize, I'm going to gain salvation, and the world can burn for all I care, because I'm going to do it. So not great times, but that's why we introduce a hero, a new hero in Joan, and a new band of heroes potentially in Joan and Artie and some of the other fun characters that you'll be introduced to soon. So welcome to the fall. That's the fourth era. In quick recap, we had the Age of Discovery, also known as the Time of Three, which was named after the 3 tribes of 33 that Buntu created to found the world. Then we ushered in the Time of Order, which can also be called the Time of Four, which is named for the 4 sages, which are the 4 children of Argus, who is the person that Buntu God communicated directly with to add the commandments, to help infuse a knowing of the ancient divine language onto mankind. And so we entered into order, and then we entered into the crumble, where all of the order started to fall apart in the absence of the God as he fought the war. And now we're in the fall. And the fall is a time where nobody's getting a beast, and nobody's gotten a beast for 15 years. And Joan is like 13, and about to find out what happens, because she might get a little beast. She might get a little calling. Actually, stay tuned in the next video. Thanks for tuning in to the history of Bastunia. Look forward to seeing you guys elsewhere.